Most people have no idea what it actually looks like to land a multi-billion dollar client for their AI agency. In this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how it happened for me from start to finish. How I found the client, the exact messages I sent, how I got him on a call, what the project actually is, the proposal that I created to seal the deal, and at the end, I will tell you why I accepted 90% less money than I originally quoted. I'm not saying you can copy this play by play because you can't, but the strategies behind each step are repeatable. So, as I break down what happened, I will show you the thinking, the positioning, and the small decisions along the way that moved the deal forward. All this so you can spot opportunities in your own pipeline and begin landing bigger clients. The number one question I get asked for people who are in AI and automation is, how do I find clients for my business? There are basically 4 ways that you can find clients for your business. I'll tell you how I found this client. I'm going to show you the exact messages and exchange that we went through and kind of how I got them on a call and things like that. So the 4 main ways to get clients for your business are warm outreach, which is contacting people you already know; cold outreach, contacting people you don't know; organic, which is driving traffic through social media; and paid, which is running paid advertisements. So how did I find this multi-billion dollar client? The answer may surprise you. I found this client through organic traffic, which is crazy. What's even crazier is I found this client through TikTok. So let me show you the messages and the exchanges that we had. And I'll give you some kind of like tips or pro tips and pointers along the way, why I think this was like an incredibly effective exchange. So for those of you who don't know, I run a fairly successful TikTok channel. I have over 70,000 followers. I have some videos with hundreds of thousands or millions of views. I have some with less views. I talk about AI, I talk about automation, and sometimes some people watch my content. So you never know where people are going to find you. That's why I recommend that you create content. Really focus on a single platform first and get as big as you can, but then you can expand because you don't know where your clients are going to come from. So this is the exact exchange that we had. And what's crazy is this is only 3 screenshots. This person messaged me on LinkedIn after seeing one of my TikTok videos. This is the CMO of a multi-billion dollar company. They saw me on TikTok, which I still can't believe. So this is the exchange that we had. He said, "Hi, Duncan. I've bookmarked some of your stuff on TikTok and thinking you might be the type of guy I need. I'm the CMO at the company. We're the largest mobile gaming company in the West, known for," then he goes on to list some of the games that they've made. He says, "I'm a big believer in AI and have been adopting it and evangelizing it throughout for some time." This is the company name. "One area I want to evolve is how we manage our community content. I was watching a clip you shared about building AI agents using N8N to scrape top trends, automatically produce content, then upload to social channels. This is one of the things that I specialize in. I spent over a decade on big brand marketing teams at Apple and at PlayStation. So this type of workflow is very familiar to me. Getting the top trending information and using it to produce new content using your brand guidelines and tone of voice. This obviously resonated with this guy." He says, "I think there's something really interesting there and I'm considering hiring someone, maybe even just contract to start, to further explore this with us. Would you be open to connecting and having a chat? Cheers," right? So this is a really cool message to get from this guy. And one of the most important things that you can do is when a client like this, or really any client, contacts you, it's to respond and respond quickly. So let me show you what I think is a really effective strategy. So he messaged me at 3:24 p.m. and I wrote back at 4:13 p.m. So 45 minutes later, I said, "Hi, thanks so much for reaching out. I would love to explore this with you. Sounds really fun. Grab some time." And then I dropped a link to the calendar and said, "Looking forward." So he can just go ahead and book time, right? I think oftentimes people get caught in this back and forth messaging like, "Oh, so nice to meet you. Can you tell me more about yada, yada, yada?" Like, don't do that. Like, just send them the link. Oftentimes people, and especially people in positions of power, like a CMO, is like really extremely busy. Like, they don't have time for this back and forth. They don't have time for, "Hey, when's a good time for you? Can you meet on Wednesday? Or how about Thursday?" It's like, they don't have time for that. So just give them a link to the calendar, because the faster that you're able to get them on a call, the more likely you are to close a sale. Most sales get closed on calls, and so you just want to get them to that call as quickly as possible. Also, a very short exchange like this is effective. It shows you understand the person that you're talking to, and that time is a constraint for them. They don't have a lot of it. So just send them the link to the call right away, and you hope that they book. Sometimes they don't end up booking, but this guy obviously reached out to me with intent. So sending them the link, I'm like, this guy's going to get on a call. Okay, so this was the next morning. You can see 9:07 a.m., right? He said, "Great, thanks for the speedy response." Okay, cool. Like, plus, right? Like, you responded quickly. They appreciate that. "Can you shoot me your email so my assistant can set up a Zoom call for us? Looking forward to chatting more." I sent him my email. He said, "Thanks very much. I'll follow up on email. So again, this guy is so busy, he doesn't have time to even book the call himself, but he did want my email so his assistant can, but he liked that I responded quickly and he sent me this. So super cool. So basically checked off how I found the client, and two, how I got him on the call. The assistant booked some time, super nice guy. Be nice to everyone that you come across. It doesn't matter if it's an assistant or a secretary or whoever, like be nice to everyone. And then we got on a call. And so basically the key next is like, how do you do discovery? Like, what do you talk about on this call? Part one is like maybe the most important, like honestly, be friendly, be nice, be normal. These are just like other humans on the end. I know it can be like scary if it's a first client or they're like in a position of power, or if it's a big company or something like that. Like, spend the first couple of minutes just like breaking the ice, like do some research on this person, like talk them up, like, oh, like, hey, how's it going? How's your week going? Like, what have you been up to? What have you been working on? Like, where do you, where's your office, or where do you, like, whatever, just like normal questions, how you get on a call with anyone. Like, again, 9 times out of 10, people will hire you because they want to work with you or they enjoy working with you. Not to mention they think that you can do the job. But like if you can do the job, but like you suck and they don't want to work with you, like they're not going to hire you, right? So this part is actually like shockingly important. So the next thing, after you kind of do the little icebreaker, hang out for a couple minutes, just be a normal person, just like start to ask them questions. The more questions you can ask on this call, the better. You want to go deeper and another level deeper, right? So start high level. Like, how do they envision the project? Like, what are they actually looking for, right? You can ask them specifically, like, okay, what are the deliverables that you need? Like, what do you need to see from me specifically to feel like you've gotten what you want from this project? And then what are the specific KPIs? KPIs are like key performance indicators, or like what are the metrics, right? What would make this actually a success? Oftentimes with automation too, the other question I like to ask is like, how are you doing this now? Because oftentimes people will be like, oh, like we want someone to automate our lead generation process. And the easiest way to start is you say, okay, like, yo, how are you doing this now? So you can get a sense of what tools and systems they're already familiar with. So you can figure out how you can kind of like work within, their existing ecosystem. So you can kind of just slide right in there rather than having to like do something totally new and like confusing and complicated for them. You can ask what type of restrictions are there. Are there any preferred tools? Like, what's their timeline look like? Like, how do they prefer to communicate? Do you want me to DM you on WhatsApp? Do you want me to email you? Do you want me to just talk to your assistant, right? There's so many ways to communicate. That's actually a really big one. And then, of course, do not shy away from this question. What is the budget? Ask them on the call what their budget is. Sometimes they'll throw it back on you and say, I don't know, like, what do you think the budget is? I always recommend giving a big range because oftentimes the true answer is it depends, right? So it depends on how much value you are creating for this person, right? In our case, if our systems are able to generate a lot of sales, it could be an incredibly valuable project for them. And so it depends on like how many assets you're trying to create. It depends on how complex and how many revisions there are. And so you could say this could cost anywhere from $5,000 to $30,000. Like, what do you think of something like that? And the way they react to that question gives you a sense of how they're feeling. And oftentimes people will say something like, okay, $30,000 seems a bit much, but maybe something in the 15 to 20 range could work for me. And maybe in your head, you were thinking maybe 5 to 10, but they just told you 15 to 20. So you've basically just doubled your money right there with a single question. Cool. So now let me tell you specifically about what the project actually is. And then I'm going to show you the proposal that we used to close the deal. And then at the end, I'm going to tell you why we accepted 90% less than what I actually proposed, which is crazy. I generally don't recommend it, but I'm going to tell you why it makes sense here. So what the project actually is. So this is super, super cool. This is really fun. It's right in my wheelhouse. So this client wants to create a series of automated AI TikTok channels. They left it pretty open-ended. And again, in our discovery, like we had like 3, 4, 5 different calls before we actually signed a contract and exchanged any money to figure out what specifically they want for this project. So when you're working with a bigger client or a bigger company, sometimes things move slower. Oftentimes in this AI space, the client may not know specifically what they want, like straight out the gate. They may have an idea, but it's that back and forth exchange with you, who is the expert that can help them dig deeper to, ask those questions to uncover what the best possible outcome for them is and what the best solution you can build for them is. So they want a series of AI TikTok channels. Again, in the discussion, it says, okay, for your budget, we're comfortable making 10 channels, right? Maybe not 50 channels, but more than 3 or something, right? So again, what makes sense for you? So they want some channels that are relevant to the game that they're creating that like kind of tie in or are thematically similar. They also want some that are just targeting like a similar audience, but aren't tied to the specific type of game that's being created. We also identified like some things that might be low hanging fruit versus heavier lifts, right? So like carousels are really easy to generate, like on autopilot using automations. You can make hundreds of carousels in just a couple of minutes. So we can have some channels that are just completely carousel based that are really easy to make. They're very cost effective. We have some other channels that are just going to be like similar single clips on like a theme. Like if we have like, funny Ring camera footage, like I've seen like videos go viral and get millions of views. It's like a monkey playing the violin on Ring camera, right? Like those videos perform really well. What's really interesting about this is his KPIs in this case are like numbers go up. He wants subscribers, he wants views, he wants engagement, right? On the flip side, the most interesting metric is conversion, right? Can we convert those views to actual installs or purchases of the game, right? And so we'll see what works better. Like we may have some accounts that blow up and get a ton of views, but don't convert well. So this is going to be a really interesting experiment, and I'll tell you why that's so important. And then the other one, the heaviest lift, is can we create full characters or like AI influencers for them? That's like a mix of images and video that's following a single character. We have like consistent character generation, and they have like a common style or format that we see over and over again because that performs really well with short form. So that's what the project is. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you the proposal we made and why creating a proposal like this is so impactful. And this is what I think really closed the deal for us. So for us, we took a lot of time on the proposal. So this is our proposal. We built kind of like a semi-interactive website. We just did this in Lovable. Like we just did this with normal language prompting. Like we want to build a proposal site. It's like, to me, this replaces like a slide deck or something like this. It's basically a glorified slide deck, but it looks cool. There's motion. It's interactive. It's great, right? So we did a lot of research on the company, on their audience, on some of the themes and some of the goals, right? Just to kind of like use our client's language. Like we would take our meeting notes and put his language back into this proposal so that we knew it was going to resonate with him because it's things that he already explicitly said to us word for word, right? So here are some of the goals to fast track content that performs. We want channels to grow and optimize, that every dollar spent builds brand equity, not one-time impression. So the channels that we're going to create aren't tied to the company itself. So he wants to see that, like, can we use them for this game? And then will they maybe continue to work for other games down the line? So can we grow them over time? So we gave some economics, kind of like hammer on the pain points here, that players want authentic experiences. They don't want paid promotions, like paid ads are working less and less and less. Costs are getting really high. They're spending $40 to $60 for every install, which is very expensive. So can we do this in a cheaper, more organic way? They're saying half of marketers report declining impact from influencer campaigns. So influencer campaigns are no longer performing as well as they once did. And then we just went ahead and broke down the marketing opportunity, which this client definitely like already understood, but like this just goes to show that we also understand what they understand, right? And so we're basically just showing that TikTok gaming content is performing like insanely well right now. So how can we capitalize on this? Then we go ahead and give them a breakdown of the system. Like, what are they actually getting? And of course, really the things that clients care most about are like, what are they actually getting and how much is it going to cost me? So if you have nothing else in a proposal, just have that, right? So we're creating an AI persona network, high volume content engine to like create 10 plus accounts posting 8 times a day. If this is automated, we can publish a ton of content. Volume wins on social. And then can we extend to multi-channels? And actually in the end, we landed on just using TikTok as our main channel, which is like makes our life much easier. We can just kind of focus on optimizing for one thing, which is great. And if it's working, maybe we expand down the line, and maybe that's in later months of this contract, right? And then this just goes to show like some research that we did. Here's some style of content that could work for us, right? Can we do meme content? Can we do gaming reviews? Can we have AI influencers, right? Can we just use like carousels or inspirational quotes or lifestyle content? This is one of my favorite guys. Like he literally just walks in the woods and talks about finance and gets like hundreds of thousands of views. So can we create a character who does something similar and educational like this? This was something else interesting that I'm just going to share with you that I thought was like really cool about these AI influencers. So there's this character, what's her name? Mia Zilu. And then there's Anna Zilu. And basically, like, these are 2 AI influencers, but they actually comment on each other's posts, which is like a crazy concept to me. So she's AI generated, this person's AI generated, and they actually can comment on each other's posts. So can we create some type of AI comment strategy that's going to work? This is going to be really hard with TikTok. I actually don't think we can pull this off with TikTok, but maybe for other channels down the road, we'll be able to do something like this. So then we went down here and we went just to see the success metrics. These were some of the things that our clients specifically said in our meetings that they would think of as a win, right? So that we asked them, it's like, okay, like what would make this project feel successful for you, right? And these were some of the things he said. So we just put it right here in the proposal to show that we understand, again, what he is looking for. And once he sees these numbers, kind of regurgitate it back to him, he says, yes, you're right. That is exactly what I want. I already said this. Cool. This is what the company actually gets. We have this section about zero downside risk. We're basically saying what we're asking you to pay today is like peanuts compared to what you have paid for some of your other campaigns before. They have spent $500 million previously marketing a game, which is insane. They're not doing that with us as much as I would like them to be. And then some of the outcomes, right? We think that they'll get better users and higher value from this type of audience that they build because they will have more of a connection with these accounts. So this is the part you've all been waiting for, the money part, right? How much is this going to cost them? What did I actually pitch? And at the end, I'm going to tell you why I took 90% less than what we pitched. So here's what we pitched. We pitched 3 options. It's always good to give your client options and let them choose, right? And so we pitched the lean pilot, so $30,000 a month. We said for 6 months, right? We'll give them 2 to 3 AI personas. They'll have a limited posting schedule. We'll give them basic analytics and things like that. We pitched them a $50K a month option to have 5+ personas with 4 to 6 accounts posting like 3 to 4 times a day. You get more accounts, you get more content, more assets created. We'll give them like a more advanced analytics dashboard and things like that. And then the flagship, the pilot, the most expensive option is $80,000 a month. You can get 10 accounts posting 8 times per day. So it's really just a matter of more, right? How much content can we produce for them? And then each one of the personas or each one of the accounts will need a different automation, right? Because they're going to be creating a different type of content. So each one requires different work from us to set up and get operational. So that's why we pitch them these. Of course, we'll be monitoring them every single month. That's why it's monthly, and we'll be making adjustments and customizing along the way. And so if you do the math, $30K a month for 6 months is $180,000. $50K is $300,000 and $80K is $480,000. So $500,000 budget for the flagship pilot option. So I just went ahead and told you about the proposal that closed the deal. And then let me go ahead right now and tell you how much money we actually accepted for this project and why we accepted 90% less money than I had in our proposal. So the amount we actually ended up accepting for the proposal is $8,000 a month for 3 months. So that is a total of $24,000. So significantly less than even the cheapest option that we proposed. But I am super, super okay with this. And here's why. I said it in the very beginning. This is a multi-billion-dollar company. And the game that we're creating this content for is a very big, well-known piece of IP or intellectual property. You will know what this game is, right? So that alone is worth it. A foot in the door is extremely valuable in this case. It is more valuable than the actual dollars. Having their logos on the website and a case study in the website is invaluable. It'll bring the next client and the next client and the next client. So sometimes it is okay to take less money depending on the opportunity. Number 2, it is an opportunity for ongoing work. 3 months is pretty short for a project like this. Already in our conversations with the CMO, he's acknowledged that. He's like, yeah, we'll probably have to extend this contract, right? Because if we get these accounts live and running, like a month or 2 is not really enough time to even test if they're going to work. And he acknowledges that. And he knows that if we continue to work together over time, we can create more accounts and try different things and test and iterate. So there's a huge opportunity for ongoing work, not just for this current project, but for the next project and the next project. So again, that's why the foot in the door here is so valuable, because now we have a working relationship. And if we deliver, rather than looking for someone else to hire for the next project, he's just going to hire me again, right? Number 3, which is crazy, when we pitched them $500,000 for a project, they did not bat an eye. They didn't scoff. They didn't laugh. They didn't call us ridiculous. This was like a fairly normal number for them. That really leaves the door open for bigger budget projects down the line. 4, our contact at the company, the CMO who reached out to me, and the team that we're working with there is just straight up cool. Like, I like them. Like, we get along really well. So like that alone is worth it. If you're working with smart, interesting, motivated, fun, cool people, like it makes your job so much better. Not to mention this is a huge company and they're paying us. Like, I know we're not going to have a lot of headaches with this guy. If we hold up our end of the bargain, he's going to be great to work with. He already has been. 5, this was huge for me. There is a mutual understanding of the limitations. And what do I mean by that? Basically, social media, we all know, is kind of a crapshoot, right? Like he understands that we are trying something new here, that this is a challenging project, that it may or may not work, and that we may have to iterate and refine and test and pivot and change things. And still, at the end of the day, we might not get crazy numbers. We might not get conversions. So he understands the challenges that we are facing. He doesn't expect us to just like blow this out of the water and there's a guarantee that we're going to have crazy success with this. He knows that there's a chance that this doesn't work at all. I don't anticipate that. But again, just him understanding and acknowledging that is huge. And number 6, this is a fun project. I hope what I described to you guys sounds really cool. Like to work with a great team at a great company on a fun project for a good budget. Like this is a win-win-win-win-win-win-win across the board, which is why I was more than happy to accept 90% less than what I proposed. I will keep you guys updated with the results as we go ahead and build this thing out. If you thought this video was cool and interesting and helpful, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you want to learn how to land clients for your AI business, definitely check the link in the description. You can get started in the build room for free. I'll see you guys over there.